It's time for day number 8. I decided that I was going to go for a hike. It's a flat hike, but it's a hike along Lake Whatcom and just kind of wander. And wherever I find a good spot to sit and read, I'm going to read and just enjoy nature, enjoy being outside, and enjoy the lake. It's gorgeous. It's a perfect day for this too. Okay, so initial thoughts are that this actually is a shorter 10% than some of the other ones I've seen so far. And there's a lot of military talk in this one, or at least it looks like this might be something that has to do with military. We'll see how this first 10% goes and if this is one of the ones that ends up being one of the ones I choose. Okay, so it's another instance where the name of the book is like really early on in the beginning of this. And so I know what book it is. And I'm pretty sure, I think it's nonfiction. It's like military nonfiction. It's basically about these people's experiences who've been in a war. Hey, it's Editing Amy here. I'm not sure why I was so positive this was a nonfiction book. It is not nonfiction. And I kind of treat it like it is nonfiction throughout this. So just know, not nonfiction. I know that doesn't give very much information. I don't know what war. I don't know too much information except that I have wanted to read this book. And so far we've met Jimmy, and he's carrying these letters around from this girl named Martha, and he's daydreaming that they're love letters. They're not, but he just kind of imagines that Martha is this woman that he's going to fall madly in love with. She's going to fall in love with him, and he just daydreams about this relationship with Martha. And so while he's in this war, his focus is on that, on his love for Martha. And I don't even know, like, is she a pen pal? Has he ever met her? I have no idea. But that's where we're at so far. Okay, definitely the Vietnam War. So at this point, we're learning about the different people within the platoon and the things that they have with them, the things that they bring with them. Through seeing what they're bringing with them, you're understanding and learning more about them. So far, I'm really enjoying the writing. It's very personal. It's very simplistic in a lot of ways, but more so on a personal level. You know, if this is nonfiction, it is very narrative. And I do tend to like that a lot, especially when it comes to these type of stories. And it's sad. Like, you can already tell this is going to be a sad story. We already have one person who died in this platoon, and we're learning about him and the experience the other members of the platoon are kind of going through, the things they're thinking about as a result of this incident. Oh, look, there's a little bench just for me. Just waiting here. One of the things that keeps being mentioned in here is how much everything they carried weighed. Like how much the ammunition weighed, how much the weapons weighed, how much their own personal items weighed, and how that weight burdened them down. This one line said, "In its intransitive form, a hump meant to walk or to march, but it implied burdens far beyond the intransitive, because aside from their burdens of carrying all this that they're carrying with them in the Vietnam War, they're carrying the burdens of the fear that they have, the loss of life that they have to feel they take responsibility for. There's just a lot they're carrying with them." is a nice spot over here, but there are way too many mosquitoes. So I'm going to find my way back to the trail. Okay, so I have completed my date with contestant number 8. Beautiful writing, absolutely gorgeous, and it reminded me of Apocalypse Now, which I watched recently, which was also set in Vietnam War. The fear and how young these men are. Most of these men are just so young, and they're in this place where they're constantly putting their lives at risk and not knowing if they're going to be coming back. And of course, dealing with the fact that one of their platoon mates is not going to come back and how that affects each of them. And then it's all about the items that they're carrying with them and looking at those items in different ways that tell us more about their story, about the story of these individual men. And it's fantastic. It's definitely one that I would be interested in reading, of course. There are no options in this whole thing that are bad options. So that is a problem. That is an absolute problem. This was a beautiful date, and it was a tough read. Was definitely a tough read. I was enjoying the writing and the 10% that I read. Is this gonna be one of the ones I pick? I don't know. I'm not gonna tell you right now. But let's find out why Shell picked this book for me.
Contestant number 8 wears a uniform and carries some baggage. The Things They Carried by Tim O'Brien. Now, I wanted to find a match for you that was on our scratch-off bucket list of 100 essential books. So I went through the list of books that I know that you hadn't read yet, and I decided that this book would be a good match for you. It's historical fiction, very character-driven. It's about the literal and figurative things that soldiers carried in the Vietnam War. So it's not a pleasant, happy book, but I think it's really well written, and it kind of goes back and forth between those actual things that they carried and the emotional burdens that came along with it. And he kind of writes it back and forth in the same sentences and the same paragraphs. And I think it really brings the emotions out of it. And I think that you'll really appreciate that. Now, having said that, this is my gamble match for you because though I don't think this is considered a classic because it's really not that old yet in the scheme of things, you and I tend to have opposite tastes in those kind of books, where I will love something and you end up hating it, and you love things and I end up hating it. I was forced to read this book in college, and I actually was shocked to discover that I really did enjoy the book. So I don't know what that means in terms of your perfect match. You will either love it too, or you will hate it because I loved it. So this, out of all of the choices for your perfect match, is the one that I consider the most of a gamble. It is a historical fiction, and I really do think it would be a good match for you, but I enjoyed it, which could very much mean that you will not. So I'm very curious to see how your date goes. Good luck.
But we're getting close to the end, and we have to find out who contestant number 9 is. So if you like this video, give it a thumbs up and subscribe so you can see what happens next time that we meet another contestant. Will that one be an absolute yes? I don't know. Thank you so much for watching. I will see you later. Bye.